Welcome to Joe's Pub. I just wanted to say quickly, please help yourself to wine. There's red, white, non-alcoholic, sparkling water. There's some goodies on the table. We're going to get started in just a couple minutes, but welcome to Joe's Pub. And a big, big thank you to the Joe's Pub staff. They've been incredible. So thank you so much. Thank you, Kevin Abbott. Thank you, Allie. Thank you, the Joe's Pub staff, Shanta, Alex, Roxana. Thank you guys so much. So we'll get started in just a couple minutes. Okay, thank you.
Estoy en la mitad de esta carretera. Tantas encrucijadas quedan detrás. Ya está en el aire girando mi moneda. Y que sea lo que sea, todo todos los altibajos de la marea, todos los sarampiones que ya pasé. Yo llevo tu sonrisa como bandera, y que sea lo que sea, lo que tenga que ser, que sea, y lo que no, por algo será. No creo en la eternidad de las peleas, ni en las recetas de la felicidad. Cuando pasen recibo mis primaveras y la suerte esté echada a descansar. Yo miraré tu foto en mi billetera, y que sea lo que sea, y el que quiera creer, que crea, y el que no, su razón tendrá. Yo suelto mi canción en la ventolera, y que la escuche quien la quiera escuchar. Ya está en el aire girando mi moneda, y que sea lo que sea, y que sea lo que sea, y que sea.
Okay. We are officially starting. So, hello everyone. Welcome to the 2016 Latino Theater Commons New York City convening. On behalf of myself, Jacob Padron, David Mendezabal, and Rebecca Martinez, we are so happy you are here. We are the on-the-ground champions. We've also worked with a group of leaders here in New York City who have also been instrumental in putting our weekend together. So the on-the-ground team, we're very grateful to all of them who you'll meet over the weekend. So we are going to start with just sharing some opening remarks that we hope will help kind of frame our weekend together. When we started our planning about, almost 18 months ago, we started to think about how best to frame our time together. We know it's a crucial time in the state of our country, but it's also a crucial time for us as a community, as Latino theater artists. So what we wanted to do was we wanted to basically sort of look at our time together in sort of three buckets: where we've been, where we are now, and I think maybe most importantly, where we're going. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just share some remarks about where we've been. Then I'm going to turn it over to David, who's going to talk a little bit about where we are, and then Rebecca's going to close us out to think about our bright future, where we're going. Does that sound good? Yeah. Okay. All right. Excellent. So where we've been. I was 8 years old when I saw my first play, a folktale about the apparition of La Virgen to the Indio Juan Diego on the hill of Tepeyac. This was a Christmas show that the seminal company El Teatro Campesino produced biannually in San Juan Bautista, California. What made this particular performance so special was that my mother, who is here tonight, she was in the show, fully costumed as a stunning Aztec dancer. I was completely transformed. It was in that moment that my life in the theater began. The journey was set ablaze. And the journey would not be possible without honoring where we've been. When I think about where we've been, I think about all the artists and the trailblazers who have paved the way for us to be in this room tonight. We stand on the shoulders of giants, Maria Irene Fortinez, Miriam Colon, Rosabo Rolon, Max Farah, Eduardo Machado, Migdalia Cruz, Gradidas Fitch, Renee Butch, and Joseph Papp, among many others. Mr. Papp opened his doors to Latino artists for decades, and so it feels incredibly meaningful that we reactivate that past and gather here at the Public Theater, a theater rooted in social justice and a belief that culture belongs to everyone. Our past is filled with riches, and by animating our movement with a spirit of generosity, it's prepared us for where we are now.
So, where we are now. Today we find ourselves at a crossroads. After the election, our work is now more necessary than ever. We've known that for a long time, but now that the alarms have been rung, it's time to organize. It's time to act. It's beautiful to see, well, I can't really see all of you, but at one point, to see so many beautiful people of color gathered in a predominantly white institution. That alone is an act of resistance that we should celebrate. But this celebration is also a call to action. 3 years ago, the LTC invited a group of artists, leaders, scholars, and activists to survey the state of the field and reunite a fractured community. We've talked, we've assessed, we've watched each other's work, we've honored our past, and we've watched our future grow as our initiatives pump new work and new ideas into the pipeline. We've deepened existing relationships and built new friendships. We're here today to acknowledge the bounty that we've created and the joy that we've shared. And now it's also time to move beyond assessment, beyond waiting our turn, and beyond the inequities and limitations placed on us, and sometimes even by us. From here on, let's not talk about scarcity, but let us lead instead from a place of abundance, from a place of possibility. We make magic, and we are magic. And this equips us to withstand the challenges and the unknown that lies ahead. Let's move forward today and this weekend with intentionality, with clarity of purpose, with grace, and with love in our hearts. Let's keep the flame burning and let's keep the party going. Because, like my good friend Drake once said, started from the bottom, now we're here.
So thinking about where we're going, I'm going to visit a little bit in the past. When I, as an adult, first walked into the doors of Milagro Theater in Portland, Oregon, I had never been in a Latino theater before. I did not even know it existed. That was not part of my life. That was not part of my upbringing. That was not part of my culture. And to know and to walk into that space and to instantly feel at home and instantly feel community and instantly feel understood, that was something that I took and I've carried with me my entire life. So where we are today, where are we going? The question is, what does it mean to be Latina, Latino, Latinx today? Today, this day, December 1st, 2016. What does the future look like for us? I don't know. What does it mean to be theater makers and storytellers in a time when empathy is desperately needed? In a time when merely speaking Spanish on the street can be a cause for harassment? So how can we use this weekend and use each other to support, to strategize, to strengthen the connections we've had in the past, and to build new ones of everyone that we are going to be sharing space with this weekend? And we are so happy that you're here. And in this, as we look and try to envision what our future will be, we want you to invite you to listen to each other, to be curious, to engage with each other, to be generous in your conversations with each other. And So, like David mentioned, the three of us, through the LTC, we have been encouraged to operate from a place of abundance and not scarcity. And that is something that we really want to encourage everyone to operate from, that same place of abundance. And it is dark, but I do want you to all look around the room. Look at each other. That circle, this is our community. There are people that are not here today as well, that are our community, but we are powerful and we are forceful. And this is our community. So we want to do that. So let's all raise a glass. What I wish for the Latinx community is resilience and strength and power.
What I wish for new seeds to be planted, for new flowers to bloom, and for our garden to be as beautiful as everyone in this room.
And I wish for more opportunity for all of us. Cheers.
Cheers.
All right. So now we are going to call up LTC extraordinaire, LTC producer, our backbone, Abigail Vega.
I didn't introduce myself. So for those of you who don't know, I'm Abigail Vega. I'm coming today from San Antonio, Texas. Is where I'm from. And I dedicate this weekend to all the people that we may have bothered out there and that we keep bothering them. Before we turn it over to our real keynote speakers, I'm just here to do a little bit of housekeeping, and I'm going to be doing this every single day. So if you're ever lost, you don't know what's going on, find me. I will help you, but I'll also be speaking at the end of every day just to kind of get us all straight, okay? So the first thing I want to talk about is what Jacob and David and Rebecca talked about earlier, the spirit of abundance, okay? Not scarcity, but abundance. And the three ways that we're looking at this work as we move forward. We're looking through the lens of aesthetics, we're looking through the lens of identity, and we're looking through the lens of, what's the other thing? Oh yeah, of leadership. So I want to just take a moment to look at the inside of your program. If you were confused at all about all those emails I was sending you, this visual will make it like all clear, right? So some of you are on an aesthetics track tomorrow. Raise your hand, raise your hand. All right, put it down. Some of you are on an identity track tomorrow. Raise your hand. Woo. All right, some of you are on leadership. Okay, so there are more friends coming tomorrow. They're going to be joining you in those tracks. You are going to love those tracks. You are not going to switch out of those tracks. We're going to stay in our tracks. And the point of that is so that when we're together at the cafecitos in the morning and at lunch and at dinner that night or at a show or at the Sábado Gigante party on Saturday, that you're sharing with each other. So many of you came with friends, and I'm so glad you didn't sign up for the same track so you can talk to each other about what you learned, okay? That's the point. So just keep that in mind. You're not missing anything by not being in something else. You are gaining something from that one track. Okay, another thing just quickly I wanted to point out, lanyards. If you see a blue lanyard, that means you're a convener, wonderful. If you see a black lanyard, it means that that person is either a champion, like these folks down here, or a member of the On the Ground team. Can I have the On the Ground team stand up, please? Okay. These people are incredible. They're volunteering. They're here as conveners. They're helping out. They're also all New Yorkers. So if you have questions about what am I supposed to do, or what subway do I take, or I don't know how to buy a subway ticket, they're the people that can help you out, okay? So find someone with a black lanyard. Also, if you see somebody with a white button, That's the steering committee members. You can ask them questions about the LTC if you want to. Let's see, the last thing I have to do, the last two things I have to do, one is mention our amazing partners and funders on this convening. Yeah. So we're here tonight by the grace of God and also by the Time Warner Cable Foundation, the Doris Duke Charitable Foundation, the Andrew W. Mellon Foundation, the Barr Foundation, the Public Theater, HowlRound, and Emerson College, and Kind Snacks in your bag. I also want to mention, truly, like, our incredible, I'm so honored that these are our partner theaters, that these folks, like, said, yes, how can we help, and what can we do, and here's an airline ticket, and here's a space, and here we'll help you. The Puerto Rican Traveling Theater, Pregones. INTAR. The Clemente Soto Velez Educational and Cultural Center. Teatro SEA. Teatro Círculo. Repertorio Español. IATI. The Lark. The Alliance of Resident Theaters of New York. And of course, the Public Theater. So thank you so much. Lastly, social media. You may have noticed, or maybe you can't, Ramona up there, she is live streaming this show right now. If your friends are not here, tell them to watch the live stream. We're live streaming events all weekend long. If you are using social media, which you should be, you're going to use the hashtag LTC New York City, hashtag Cafe Onda, both of those, okay? Some other sessions will have specific hashtags, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. I think they got rid of Vine, so we don't have that. But everything else, please put it on social media. And again, if you have any questions during the weekend, come find me, come find someone with a black lanyard. Thank you. I'll hand it back now to David.
Hi, everyone. Thank you. So just one last thing. I'm sure everyone's getting a little hungry. There's some snacks on your table, and food will be coming after all of these activities. I hope you're hungry. So I have the privilege of introducing one of our, the first of our keynote speakers. Words cannot really describe all that she has done, but she is the founder and artistic director of Pregones Theater. She is also, because she ain't just running one theater, she is also the artistic director of the Puerto Rican Traveling Theater, a 2008 United States Artist Fontanelles Fellow in Theater Arts, an acclaimed performer, dramaturg, stage director, and credited for building a uniquely Latino musical theater repertory with emphasis on adaptations. Merit distinctions include multiple OLA and ACE awards, Cherishore Actors Award, and a Ford Foundation Visionaries Fellowship. She serves on the boards of the United States Artists and National Association of Latino Arts and Culture. More than that, she has been an inspiration to so many of us in this room. If you were in LA, you, like me, will never forget Boots. So I welcome to the stage Rosalba Rolón.
I had to wear them. Saludos. Ay, 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 ¿qué hice? Thank you, if I can get this in one place. Thank you to the organizers of this historic event. Over the next days, you may be hearing or saying the word historic a lot, and with good reason. What qualifies the 2016 Latino Theater Commons convening as historic? According to some definitions of the word, For something to qualify as historic, it would need to be significant, momentous, consequential, unforgettable, sensational. And then there is this one, having great and lasting importance. That is perhaps the definition I like the most. Years from now, we will remember these 4 days together as having fueled some of the great moments of New York Latino theater yet to be experienced. I know, because I'm old enough to remember what the Festival de Teatro Popular in 1980, organized by Teatro Cuatro in El Barrio, did for me and for hundreds of artists at that time. And I remember how crucial in 1975 El Encuentro in San Antonio at the Guadalupe Cultural Center was for our then young Pregones Ensemble. We still have young Pregones Ensemble, and they're right here. Ensemble members. And how during the 80s and early 90s, the Tenaz festivals in the other side of the country and the festivals in New York City and Miami kept our theater family connected, expanding, and in touch. And how we celebrated the birth of new companies and mourned the demise of others. And how these encuentros were turning points in the course of Latino theater as a national force, excuse me, actually as a national revelation to the rest of the field. So it is up to us to make this convening a historic one. No one will do it for us. Tomorrow, some of you will be at the Clemente. The Clemente is short for Clemente Soto Vélez Cultural Center, named after our late and beloved Puerto Rican poet. But the building had a different name before that, which is how I entered the picture. As a young Puerto Rican artist in the 1970s, recently graduated from an exchange program between City University of New York and University of Puerto Rico. It was love at first sight. While keeping a salaried job in New York, you know how it goes, my body and mind were restless with the urge that brought me here in the first place. I didn't have much to go on in terms of leads for artistic work, no Google at the time. And yet, it was the 70s. The city was in economic turmoil. Nixon had just resigned. The Vietnam War was coming to a close. Women were finally having our day in public court. And I was learning for the first time in my life that there was another me, another kind of Puerto Rican, and that they had a movement, even a party, that they were called themselves the Young Lords Party, and that there was such a thing as being called New Yorican. And it was a lot to take in for a jibarita that had just arrived. And then one day, a friend told me about an educational center in the Lower East Side, or Loisaida, that was opening a theater workshop in Spanish. It was called Solidaridad Humana. And it wasn't long before I joined, and I volunteered to do whatever I had to do as long as I had that connection. Solidaridad Humana inhabited what is now the Clemente. They had founded the first university for immigrants credited by the state of New York. And it was in that context that I learned of a larger theater world in New York. It was there that I learned that there were theater companies all over the city. I had just arrived, that they were dedicated to making theater in Spanish, in English, and bilingual theaters. That some of them had venues and others were itinerant. At the question, have you met Miriam Colon yet? I said, I wouldn't even know how to get in touch with her. She was that far star that I wanted to touch so badly. Little by little, I entered a New York world that was not featured in celebrity magazines or in the mainstream media. I began to get closer and closer, discovering a magnificent landscape. El Portón, Teatro Yati, Nuestro Teatro, Duo Theater, La Familia, Teatro Moderno, New York Boys Café, Teatro Rodante Puertorriqueño, Teatro Cuatro, courageous theater makers that created opportunities for the rest of us with a very broad social and political perspective, founded by artists from Puerto Rico, Cuba, Venezuela, Argentina, and many, many other countries, and of course, by homegrown New Yorkers, the other side of me. But there were three main theaters that were founded in the late 60s and flourished in the 70s as pillars of our generation. We secretly called them the Holy Trinity. They were Puerto Rican Traveling Theater, Repertorio Español, and INTAR. With the next generation tagging along that included the transformation of Dumais Theater into Thadia Spanish Theater in Queens. Other things were flourishing at the time. The Association of Hispanic Arts emerged as the organization that would connect us not only with other theater artists, but with the entire scope of Latinesque visual, literary, dance, and theater arts. La Asociación de Cronistas del Espectáculo created a cradle for promotion of all theater made in Spanish in New York City. I still watched at a distance, not knowing quite sure how to make myself available to them, but following the lead of some of the experienced artists I was fortunate to know. I followed the conventional path, auditioned for an agent who made my resume look presentable, and sent me to auditions for things like a Burger King commercial and a medical insurance voiceover. Come on, it was good money. Auditions at the time were very tough for Latino actors, and even dangerous. We didn't have the protection that other mainstream artists had. On more than one occasion, I had to fly from an audition room out of pure fear. On one occasion, I ran 9 flights down the stairs of a building as the director who was auditioning became more interested in my looks than in my talent. So it was a blessing when organizations like HOLA, the Hispanic Organization of Latin Actors, emerged as an entity who helped establish parameters, hold casting agents accountable, and made sure we knew our rights. After 3 years of working in various Latino theaters, my urge to have a voice of my own and to work in the collaborative nature of the Latin American popular theater movement that has spread all over in the 70s made me restless. In conversation with 2 other theater friends, we decided to give ourselves an opportunity to create something that was ours. I wanted to root this new thing in 2 different tracks, distinct tracks. It would be a collective creation of sorts, teatro colectivo, creación colectiva, and it would be Puerto Rican dramaturgy, which is what I knew. This led to the creation of what became our first piece together, a collection of scenes from 9 different Puerto Rican plays spanning 100 years called La Colección. The details are too many to cover here, enough to say that in 1975, my friends and I reached over the dinner table, shook hands, and decided to take our Colección and turn it into a touring theater company, and to call it Pregones. Thank you. One, a theater company that would go to communities everywhere, and everywhere we went with a growing repertoire. 500 cities to date. Participated in festivals, conferences, and encuentros in 18 countries. With initial roots in El Barrio, we eventually settled in the Bronx in 1983. In 1985, we opened our first theater in an in-kind space by St. Anne's Church, which allowed the rest to reset the Latino Theater Festival tradition, creating Teatro Fest in 1991, and in 2005, we inaugurated our brand new theater on Walton Avenue in the Bronx. And in 2013, we began the process of merging with the magnificent theater founded by Miriam Colon. Yes, I was eventually able to meet her. And I dedicate this weekend to her. Since those days of running down the stairs, the 9 floors, the Latino theater community in New York City has grown and changed. New generation of artists have emerged as touring companies like Caborca. Others as self-producing entrepreneurs, some Latino, others intercultural in nature like Universes, Party People, yay. Today, we stand before a strong alliance of Latino theaters with venues, Teatro Sea, IATI, Latea, Thalia, Pregones, Puerto Rican Traveling Theater, Repertorio Español, and more. Today we stand before hundreds of individual theater artists coalesced by the Latino Theater Commons and have worked in collaborations with a broad variety of non-Latino theaters in partnership and friendship like the Public Theater. As we prepare for the next 3 days in conversation with each other, I urge us to unburden ourselves from the need to create only one kind of theater. I urge us to work closely with those whose careers are taking shape in non-Latino theaters and forming lasting alliances. As New York City prepares for its first ever cultural plan, and I'm part of the advisory committee, I urge us to think of ways to make the career in theater on and off the stage a viable career, so that parents will not panic when a child says, "Daddy, I want to be an artist." I want other parents to feel like I felt when my daughter Rosal said, "I want to be an artist." I want us to think about ways to remain accountable to each other and to our successors by expanding our thematic reach. Science, world politics, not just our own, anthropology, mathematics, history, the future. I urge us to remain vigilant of the trends in our fields and not to be seduced. Trends that can paralyze us if we're not careful, like the meaning of diversity. I call for the philanthropic community, both public and private, to stop trying to change the nature of large institutions, trying to get them to be something they're not, something they cannot be, and flushing hundreds of thousands of dollars in the process. I urge us to think of our own sense of diversity and what we can bring to the table. Acknowledge diversity within our own field and our capacity to engage in equitable partnerships in collaborations with those institutions. Friendships such as the one between Latino theater and the Public Theater, for example, now spanning more than 40 years, is a real relationship, and we're grateful. Pregones' creative collaborations with the Appalachian Rosai Theater is now entering our 21st year with no sign of stopping. Puerto Ricans and Appalachians creating together on stage. Together we deliver. We have proven it. Look at the success of the LA Encuentro, LATC, just 2 years ago. And the organizational power of the leaders of this convening right here tonight. Our collective voice is a promise to New York City, to the country in what seems to face difficult years ahead, and to our Americans. But we must be at the top of our game. We better be. I close with a line from our friend, actor, and writer Dan Guerrero from his play Gaitino. It has to do with the struggle of the workers as they tried to honor Cesar Chavez at his funeral. The workers wanted and deserved to be near the coffin, where many dignitaries had been lined up. They plowed through, and they made it to the front of the line. May this convening be a solid step into our future, so we can collectively deliver that simple but powerful line in Dan's play. We went to the front of the line and we took our place. Thank you.
Thank you, Rosalba. That was so beautiful and inspiring. It is my great honor to introduce our second keynote speaker. This person has been in my life for over 10 years. We went to graduate school together. She's the reason I have really a life in the theater here in New York City. She brought me to the Public Theater. She's one of my best friends. So I want to share a little bit more about her. Stephanie Ibarra is an artistic producer currently serving as the Director of Special Artistic Projects here at the Public Theater, where she leads the mobile unit and the public forum programs. Her career started in her home state of Texas, working with the Dallas Theater Center and the Dallas Children's Theater. Roles such as producing director of the Playwrights Realm and producing artistic director of the Cherry Lane Mentors Project round out her New York City credits. She is the curator of Two River Theater's Crossing Borders Festival and recently dramaturged the world premiere of Tanya Saracho's play Fade at the Denver Center. Stephanie has spoken on the subject of artistic producing and leadership at NYU, Harvard, Women's Leadership Conference, and the Women's Theater Project Lab, where she currently serves as the producer lab liaison. She holds an MFA from the Yale School of Drama, and she is a total badass. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you Stephanie Ibarra.
What a gift. Jacob called me a couple of weeks ago and asked me to do this, and as of 5 minutes ago, I still didn't really know what I wanted to say. I mean, I had some ideas, but I have spent the last couple of weeks, frankly, since somewhere around November 8th. Wait, I wrote something down that I feel like I need to read. The views and opinions expressed in this speech are those of the author and not necessarily reflective of policy or position of any agency or department of the Public Theater or of the LTC Steering Committee. So now. So I had some ideas about what I wanted to say, but then I got really nervous and I thought, I just want to show up and take a listen to my tribe. And you did not disappoint. So I'm supposed to talk about where we're going, and I'll answer that question in just a second. But first, I want to talk about how we're going to get there, which I feel like is the actual important question for us this weekend. Jacob did tell me, he demanded, in fact, that I be positive and inspirational. I think he forgot that he was talking to me and not himself, but I will do my best. Okay. So I think in order to look forward, I'll take a cue from Rebecca and look back a little bit. Confession time, I don't belong here, or at least that's how I felt for the longest time. I was raised in suburban San Antonio by a white Czech woman and a completely in denial Mexican man. We had tamales for dinner and kolaches for dessert, but that is it. That is the extent of my culture. I did not go to the theater unless you count that one time MTV produced the Rum Tum Tugger from Cats with Terrence Mann. But I did spend my life, my parents are musicians, so I spent my life in rehearsal rooms. They were just for symphonies and orchestras. So I never, as a young adult, I didn't know the word Latino. I sort of knew the word Hispanic, maybe that it might apply to me, but I was not steeped in any kind of cultural performative tradition that was specific to, I guess, who the rest of the world would have me be. So I spent my childhood looking like this and behaving in some other way. And so I was called coconut. I was told I did not belong here and I did not belong there. And over the last 10 years, Jacob yanked me out of the closet when we were in graduate school. He said, "Don't look now, you're a Latino." And now I get to sit in this room and talk to all of you, and I'm so grateful. So going back to how we get there, wherever it is, which I'll answer in a second, I want to go back to what I did take from my childhood that I think is helpful here, and that is the idea of dissonant chords, which is a really banal musical theory thing, right? So two notes or more notes that are not supposed to sound good together, and yet they sound beautiful. Some demand a resolution. Some want to just live on their own. And as I was listening to the circle out there, I heard Varin hit on a dissonant chord when he talked about being LGBT and being Latino, and how those two things are not supposed to go together, and yet they do. I heard my comrade from San Francisco talk about street art. Those two things are not supposed to go together, and they come together and they are beautiful. And I think about people like me, who come from the white and the brown, and it's not supposed to go together. That's how I grew up, thinking I am not supposed to exist. And then I walk into a room like this, and I get to say, yo soy Latina. So as we move into this weekend, I want to encourage us all to embrace the dissonance. It is out there in the world, and so we might as well get used to it. And I feel like it takes practice and discipline to not only listen to our individual echo chambers, but to actively seek out opposing opinions. And I am hopeful that as much as we are coming together this weekend and locked sort of arm in arm, that we will also argue. My friend Lou Moreno is in the house tonight. Speaking of arguing, and one of my favorite things that I did when I first got to New York City was argue with Lou Moreno, and just we would just go at it at the bar and come out the other end, I think, stronger for it. So let's do that with love in our hearts. Let us embrace the dissonance this weekend and ever forward. The second thing that I want to offer up in terms of how we get there is the idea of the individual versus the collective. So somebody in 2013, when we met in Boston, came away with a brilliant idea for like a national multi-year, multi-million-dollar theater initiative, and now it exists today. Hello, Soul Project. But I am not trying to put that kind of pressure on me or you, right? We don't need to come out of this weekend with a grand idea of what the collective can do. We can do that. I'm not saying you can't do that. But I also want to encourage you and invite you to think about and look for the individual levers that you have at your disposal to push. They are there. They surround you every day. They are in the words that you choose to use when you talk about a play or an artist. They are in your choice of collaborator, the economic impact of who you choose to hire or not. They are in the choice of where you spend your time, where you are physically putting your butt at any given night at 7:30 or 8 o'clock, right? So you can either choose to reinforce the dominant culture around you, or you can choose to subvert it. And in so doing, change it. The last thing that I want to leave you with is a little bit about this idea of abundance. Like, what even does that mean? So I'm going to talk to you about it a little bit in terms of food, because that's just the way, it's just the way I know. So when I think about the future for us and the spirit of abundance as opposed to scarcity, I think about the idea that we all sometimes have, that there is one pie, and in order for you to have a piece, that means I don't get any, right? And I think the spirit, like what David and Rebecca and Jacob are inviting us to do, is to make more pie. So now we're at the where are we going piece, which is the question that has been plaguing me for 2 weeks and more now. Where are we going? And I have not been able to think about that because on November 7th, it would have been one answer. And on November 9th, I was like, fuck. But I did have, in just confronting tonight, I had to force myself to be positive. And I came up with some good shit. Here's the thing. Here is the lightning bolt. I mean, we work in the theater. I work in the theater. I make plays, right? And for the last couple of weeks, that has felt like not even close to enough. And what does it matter? And I hear people say, my boss, Oscar, is an amazingly smart man, and he was like, now more than ever. And I was like, but why? But why? And then I reflected on what has happened over the last 18 months, and I realized, oh, right, stories shape our society. For better or for worse, compelling stories shape our world and the society we live in. And so here is the good news. We do that for a living. And so we have the power to unearth and reveal forgotten stories and untold stories of our past. We have the power to correct false or reductive narratives that feed the worst parts of humanity. And we have the power, and this is my favorite, this is the one that I'm holding on to for dear life. We have the power to conjure our future. We have the power to imagine what we want, to write it down, and then to show it to people in real life. And that is, I think, a thing that I took for granted back in October that I no longer take for granted today. And so every step along the way from here forward is an opportunity to do one of those things, to reveal the stories forgotten or untold, to correct the narratives, and to imagine the future. So let's get to work. Thanks.
I just want to give another thank you to Rosalba and my fellow Mexi-Czech, Stephanie. There's a few of us out there. If you don't know what a Mexi-Czech is, just ask us. We'll tell you. So, it's a little dark in here, but I'm gonna ask y'all to look around at each other. Hold up lights to each other, hold up your candles, whatever it takes. Okay. Oh, the light has come. Here is the light. Thank you, Joe's Pub staff. Okay, so here's the thing. Is there anyone in the room who has been working in theater for like a year or less? Raise your hand. How are we? All right. We're looking. Yeah, okay. How about 5 years or less? 5 years or less. Let's see, who is it? Anyone? Raise your hand. Levanta la mano. Okay, vamos. Ah, mira, aquí está también. Okay, here we go. 10 years or less. Arriba. Okay, everyone. Raise your hand if you have worked in theater for 10 years or more. That's it. Okay, keep those hands up. Keep them up. Keep your hands up. Keep your hands up if you have worked in theater for 15 years or more. Keep your hands up. If anyone knows their timetables, you can probably figure what my next number is. 20 years or more. Take a look around. "25 years or more. "30 years or more. Now we're going to take a little jump. 40 years or more. Can everyone who has worked in theater for 30 years or more please stand? 30 years or more, please stand. You are our pillars, and because of you, we are here. Because of your work, we are here. Now, I also heard in this circle that there was a dedication to folks who cannot be with us in the room today. And some of it because of age or infirmity, some of it because of distance, some of it because of economics. So I would like to invite you, who are the pillars in our community, who we wish, whose energy, whose spirit we want to have in this room tonight. Call them out. Keep them coming. Keep them coming. ¿Quién más? ¿Quién más? ¿Quién más? ¿Quién más? ¿Alguien más? ¿Alguien más? That's it. Anyone else? Anyone else? Cantinflas! Shout out to Cantinflas! I'm going to count to 3. I'm sorry, voy a contar hasta 3. Y cuando... disculpa, pues, mi pocha español. But, well, I'm going to count to 3. And when I count to 3, just like, let's call out those names, bring that energy into this room, bring that energy into this weekend, okay? Uno, dos, tres. Now we're gonna get serious. Okay, we gotta have a real heart-to-heart, everybody. Some of us left our stuff in the Newman lobby. We gotta get it out by 7 o'clock. You have 30 minutes to get, just hang on. I'll give you the go. 30 minutes to get your stuff out of the Newman lobby and put it someplace safe. Oh, coat check. Thank you, Public Theater. There is space for a coat check. You can check your bags in the coat check of the Public Theater. So here's what we're going to do. We are going to take a little bit of an intermission. We are going to have some food. We are going to have some drink. We are going to take our stuff out of the Newman lobby and put it in the coat check. And then we are going to come back here and we are going to hear a little bit of mariachi. And our intermission starts now.